Should you sell the home to an investor? What you need to know as the personal representative of the estate. Hi, I'm Ashley Rivera. I'm a probate real estate advisor with Probate and Trust Help here in San Diego County. If you're the personal representative of an estate, it may seem that the easiest option would be to get the property sold as quickly as possible. But you need to be mindful of the fact that there are certain legalities that you're going to need to follow through with through this process. Selling quickly doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be following these rules. As the personal representative, you have a fiduciary duty to the estate. That means that you have a responsibility to handle all proceedings as best you can according to court ruling. The court system will have a probate referee come in. They will appraise the value of the home, and you're going to need to follow what's called the 90% rule. For example, if a property is appraised at $1 million, then the property needs to sell for at least $900,000 to be within that 90% rule. It's important to follow through with this because cutting corners can cost you and the estate a lot in the long run. So, should you sell to an investor? Let's talk about what the stakes are. Selling to an investor often means selling below market value. Why is that? Well, investors are coming in with the intention of purchasing the property below market value, usually doing renovations, and then reselling the property at market value or above so that they make a profit. They are a business and they are attempting to make a profit. So for you, as the personal representative, it's important to have good representation so that you potentially aren't selling well below what you should for a home that may not be in great condition, but still holds a lot of value. Some scenarios where it may be the best option for the estate to be sold to an investor would be, for example, if the property has a significant amount of damage or deferred maintenance. If there are no funds or assets in the estate that give you the opportunity to make repairs or updates, or there are no funds to maintain the property, so selling quickly will prevent something like, for example, foreclosure. For instance, we had a client whose mother had owned a home and it was a 2-bedroom property. She often had family that came over to spend time with her, but there was a bedroom in the back that the door was always shut and nobody really knew why. Well, shortly before she passed, they were able to get into that bedroom and realize that there had been a tree that had fallen, caused a hole in the ceiling, and that rain had been coming in and caused a significant amount of water damage in this portion of the home. If they had known in advance, they would have taken the opportunity to try and get it repaired, but because there were no funds, the decedent didn't want to put that burden on her family, and so she didn't tell anybody about this particular damage. It's unfortunate, but there weren't any funds to do repairs once she had passed, so the family then chose to sell to an investor relatively quickly, knowing that the value of the home was significantly depleted because of this damage. Thankfully, we were able to help them through the process because we were able to represent them and find them a good investor buyer who gave them the highest and best price considering the circumstances that they were under. So with that, we want to talk about that not all investors are created equal. And it's challenging for personal representatives to vet an investor if they don't have all of the facts, which is why it's really important for you to hire an experienced probate real estate professional who can guide you through the process. A lot of times, a real estate professional who specializes in probate is going to be able to ask the right questions to help you find the right buyer who will give you the highest and best offer for the estate. They will also be able to negotiate for you to ensure that the investor doesn't come in at one price, this happens a lot, and then attempts to negotiate down the price after doing their inspections and finding additional things wrong with the home. In our experience, because investors are attempting to buy a property, fix it up, and make a profit in the sale, they will a lot of times come in, see the condition of a property, and then come back later after having inspections done and sort of make like some of the things that they saw were worse than what they already knew they were. It doesn't mean that you won't have to provide some sort of funds as part of the negotiations. It just means that as your real estate professionals, we would always ensure that the funds that are being negotiated are really things that matter, that are going to help them, but also keep the sale moving forward and not cost you too much money. So here are some common mistakes that we often see personal representatives make before selling to an investor. Hiring a friend or a general real estate agent. Not a great idea. You want to hire someone who's experienced through the process, because selling to an investor is really about the negotiations through the process. Investors are savvy and they're skilled at negotiating, and you're going to want to have an agent who is also skilled through the process, because they're going to be your representation and they're going to be the ones who are making sure that you are selling for the highest and best price. Along with that, you don't want to work with someone who doesn't know about the 90% rule, who isn't experienced with court proceedings, who doesn't know how the timelines work for probate. Those things are going to really hinder your ability to your fiduciary duty. And knowing that choosing convenience over competence really can cost you and the estate a lot of money. So how do you ensure that you have a good real estate agent? Well, we actually have a video on that. We recommend that you watch this video to vet an agent. It's all about questions for real estate agents and can guide you through ensuring that they know what they're doing. So again, it is possible to sell to an investor, and it is possible, even during probate, to have a sale completed relatively quickly. It's just important that you ensure that your attorney and your real estate agent and all other professionals that are involved helping you are aware of the importance to you to getting the sale completed and ensuring that the fiduciary duties that you hold is being followed through with. Be sure that you are making decisions based on facts and not pressure from an investor who has come in to just offer you whatever value they think the property is worth. Know that there are professionals out there in your area who would love to help you and guide you through the process and ensure that you are being represented fairly. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell button. I'll see you next week.